Hello and welcome to the second video of this 2019 off-season breakdown. We're still going to be talking about the NALCS a little bit. We will get to the LEC in the coming videos, but first we're going to go ahead and start with top lane. Top lane video is going to be running through all the top laners, ranking them as you can see before you, seeing what I think about the actual laners and how they're going to be able to impact their teams. And some of the criteria that I used is that I used obviously overall play. So for example, if you look at number one, someday he is the best overall top laner. And then as you look down, based on meta and what we know about them, I do take veteranship into account when I do put place players. So, for example, Impact Haunter, Darshan, they've been around for a really long time in North America. They've put up success on multiple different rosters and different metas. So I'm going to go ahead and put them up above these rookies that are coming in and these untested talents a little bit. I'm gonna put veteranship a little bit more in terms of value based off that rookie honeymoon phase. So let's get into it. Let's start with number 10, Viper, coming over from Team Liquid to FlyQuest. I think Viper is so untested that it's a really risky move to bring Viper onto a starting lineup when Flame and Flame's available. He didn't want to come back. Sure, whatever. There was Lorlo available. At the time, he had gotten dropped by Golden Guardians. You saw TSM go abroad for Broken Blade, and you saw Darshan possibly not being signed up. There was a few others. Haunter was available. With some of these players switching teams, Huni and Solo were kind of traded, so it's kind of different between the Clutch and Echo Fox. But with all of the top lane talent, you're looking at like Fallen Bandit from CLG Academy. You're looking at the rookies that are coming in. I think his name was I can't remember what his name is. The guy who got MVP from Scouting Grounds this year, something God, I think, Fate God maybe. He was pretty solid. I liked how he played. You also have someone like Shiro from Cloud9 Academy, taking up a slot that whether they need that or not, it's questionable. This is probably the weirdest pickup. I don't really know much about Viper outside of his streams and his solo queue play. I didn't watch a lot of the Academy games last season, but I feel like this is just a very, very risky move for FlyQuest, especially when you're overhauling your roster and you don't really have any firepower. You're bringing in Belter, who's someone who's going to hold mid, but not, be a top carry, a number one slotted, carry. Wild Turtle can be that carry, but he's got inconsistencies. And bringing in a rookie top laner, someone who isn't consistent, is pretty risky in my opinion. Especially when I think Viper's the one trick Riven player, isn't he? I don't know. Anyways, he seems to be playing the carry threats, which are in the meta. Whatever. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. My opinion is that it won't. Dokla, I put above him. Dokla actually showed some pretty good promise last year with his split push builds as well as his tank play. I think he's a pretty good tank player. Someone who can actually switch it up a little bit. Someone who's a little bit. It seemed like he was like one of the only rookies that got kind of nervous on stage, other than Rikara, obviously. But that's a different story. Dokla seems to be like pretty easy to work with. It seems like the team really Optics seems to want to go with him, not only because he's younger and he's probably cheaper, but he's also seems like he meshes pretty well with anybody. I haven't heard anything bad about Dokla outside of statistic wise. And other than that, I mean, this is a growing player. He's not at. I don't think he's not at the other rookies from last year's status like Solo and Licorice. But he is definitely someone who I think he's better than Zig. I think he's better than Lorlo individually, and I think he is if you have I think he might compare to Broken Blade in terms of skill level when he first when Broken Blade first comes over, and that means that you're still one of the top laners in the world or in North America. So you still deserve a spot on a starting roster. It's whether you can actually put that to use and grow and expand your game to be able to play with some of these tops. Number 8, I have the duo of Lorlo and Solo being able to swap out from Echo Fox. It seems like if I had Solo here, I'd have him up a bit. I think solo by himself would be a much more getting that experience would be just be a better overall play for Echo Fox. But we have seen Lorlo carry. I think Lorlo, we've seen his ceiling. He's been in the league for a few years. He's done absolutely shit all. He hasn't. I don't think he's ever made playoffs, and if he has, sure, whatever. Who cares? Like there clearly weren't something that was, anyone who is going to actually, be a threat or a contender. Um, he's got a lot of experience for a top laner. He did try to take up a leadership role last year on Golden Guardians. He's bringing that over. Um, he has played on some pretty poor lineups, but in terms of like his actual skill level, like we never saw him like really like smashing lane. We never really. I think he had one Aatrox game last year, and that was it. Like I don't think that this is the person that you really want to bring on. This is like oh well, we still need a top laner, and he has to be domestic. But even so, like I feel like solo. If you're gonna take a chance on a top laner, you might as well just go with solo. Like he's someone who showed that he could compete with the other lineups, and he looked like he was actually gonna be pretty good. Broken Blade, I have number 7. Broken Blade coming over from the Turkish league. He's actually kind of an unknown in terms of professional setting. He did really well in the TCS. Everyone thought he was incredible. He's obviously incredible in solo queue. He's got a lot of highlight reels. He's playing really, really well in North America. I really like his game, where his game knowledge is at. What he seems like he has like a way to play the game. I have him here only because he is actually the most untested top laner. I mean, even Viper played in Academy, so like we do see how he stacks up against North American talent. Broken Blade is being compared to TF Blade. Who knows? He does have a really strong, voice in Bjergsen and Smoothie to be able to, lead him. So I do think that that's a really good thing for him, and I think this is the perfect time to get a player like this for TSM. I think this is a good move, but again, he's untested. Darshan, really shitty year last year. If Darshan had a really good year, we would put him higher on this list, maybe 4th, 3rd. But of course, Darshan, with his pretty poor performance, is going to drop down to 6th. The reason that he's so high is he does have that leadership quality, and he does have an extremely advanced champion pool where he can play those different metas. He survived for so long because of that, being able to play Poppy and Gangplank, and whether he succeeds or not, he's able to perform on these champions at a professional level, clearly in scrims or on stage, and that's why he's still around. But of course, I put him below Hanser at number 5 because Hanser seemed to be a little bit more consistent. Even in his down year, he was more consistent. I thought Hanser was one of the even though he had a really, really down year, I don't think he was the worst part of TSM, to be honest, and I don't think that this was a good move to actually drop Hanser as TSM. Yes, I do like the move of getting Broken Blade, getting some fresh blood, getting someone who's an aggressive top laner, but at the same point, Hanser is not the player that you needed to replace, or that you want to replace, right? He is a very consistent, good North American mid laner or top laner that can compete with the international talent. That is something that is extremely valuable in North America because you don't really have that much of it. You have Darshan, him, and Licorice pretty much. Everyone else is going to get smashed by Huni someday, and Flame, those types of players. Impact we have above him. The only reason Impact you'll notice is the only non-carry player in the top 6. He's the person who is almost primarily on tank duty, and to be honest, like he is the best tank, probably the best tank player in the world. There isn't really anybody that you can really consistently say plays as strong of a frontline tank top laner as Impact. He is immensely talented at that type of gameplay. He can get through really, really rough matchups in the top lane. You can kind of leave him on an island, play around your bot lane and double lift, and that is the perfect spot for him. You'll notice that he's the only top laner because he's the only tank top player in the top 5 because he is the only one who can succeed no matter what the meta is playing that style. And that's pretty much Impact in a nutshell. Also a world champion. You can't really knock him. He has so much success at on the world stage. Licorice. We have Licorice here at number 3 and Huni at number 2 based on meta alone because it is a carry meta as we're going into the new season. Licorice, Huni, and someday tend to these are very, very strong carry threats for their teams. Licorice number 3 only because he does seem to struggle with the tanks, and I'm talking like This guy is like a Huni number two. But the thing is, he does have a year under his belt. He does have that experience now from Worlds. He knows not to pick Echo top lane unless it's meta. We're learning as we go along, and I really like that lightheartedness that Cloud9's atmosphere is, and that's going to be good for Licorice as he does continue to grow into a leader and a very, very strong contender for best top laner in the league. Huni I have at number two because I was trying to think about whether I would want Licorice or Huni to try and carry the game 1v9, and I thought about it and I was like, I'm pretty sure Huni can do it better in like almost every situation. Licorice probably doesn't have as much flexibility either. Huni can kind of be flexed around to mid or jungle. He does have that swap thing, so like that he can get around the tank duty by switching his position. Licorice we haven't seen from him. We haven't seen that from Cloud9. So I don't know whether that's an option for Huni this year, but it does seem like this is the player that, when he came into the league, he hasn't actually looked like a terrible top laner except for since Rift Rivals, right? Rift Rivals he fed really hard, and that was pretty much the case, and he struggled ever since. And I don't think that even with a bad showing, Huni is still like a pretty strong, like he's still a good player. Okay, so, and I don't want to use recency bias with Licorice just because he performed better than Huni in Summer Split. Someday, overall, Someday is by far and large the best top laner in North America. There is no one who's really competing with him. There's no one who can do his job better than him. It doesn't matter whether it's on the world stage, regionals, playoffs, whatever. Someday is the best top laner. There is no one like the reason 100 Thieves loses was definitely nowhere near and like a reason that Someday was struggling or anything like that. We haven't really seen Someday struggle like at all. We didn't see him struggle at all in 2018. He seemed like he was by far and large the best top laner for a majority of the year. I think there was a few games in the spring where he struggled, but a string of games where he struggled in spring, but that was not really like it was more of a meta thing than and kind of like a oops, no one, everyone has those blunders. Okay, that's gonna do it for the top video. Pretty much that's what I think. I think Someday is by far and large the best. I think Viper is going to struggle on the stage, and that's pretty much where we're at with North America. And we're going to come back at you with Jungle next. Thank you very much.